Hey, yo, huge shout out to the Noted Gang. If you guys want a $10 code of your choosing, all you guys have to do is like this video, subscribe, post notifications on, and leave a nice comment with your gamer tag. So we're going to cover the 2 new weapons loadouts so you guys can get out the way, and then I can cover all the buffs and nerfs for the remaining weapons that are going to be the top 5. So we're going to start out with the magnified relay for the ammo reserve and increased horizontal recoil control. You get a decrease of sprint to fire speed, absolutely no big deal. Now, this one is completely up to you whether you want to go to SD Instant Grat or you want to use the Burst AC-14. Now, the Burst AC-14 has burst fire conversion, highly accurate and controllable, and full auto. You can use the full auto and it'll be absolutely amazing. Plus you get the highly accurate and controllable. So this is going to be kind of like the equivalent of the NZ41 when the burst variant actually gave no recoil with the fully auto. So this might be a good move. Or you, like I said, if you want to use the SD Instant Grat, it gives you recoil control, flinch resistance, reduced scope sway and gun bob, and aiming stability. Now, I have Slate Reflector, but you can, I mean, this is completely optional if you want to use this. Use the SVT 40PU scope. This is going to be very interesting though, and the optic glip is visible to enemies. So completely up to you, whatever you choose to do. They're on the AC titanium anchor for the initial fire and recoil control, and aiming stability. You get a decrease of movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint to fire speed. They're on fleet for movement speed. If you don't want to use fleet, you can use sleight of hand. If you don't want to use sleight of hand, I mean, I don't really know what you want to use. I mean, I don't think there's really an alternative. I guess focus, but I think those are 2 options, either fleet or sleight of hand. They're on hand for the aim down sight speed, a polymer grip for flinch resistance and accuracy, and recoil during sustained fire. I throw in the quantum high battery voltage, well, high voltage battery for the increased fire rate. Now this one burns through the energy faster, which makes more damage. Now if you don't want that, you can use the PWN quick current battery and you can still get an increased fire rate. But I mean, like I said, this ammo reserve is going to fly by. This one isn't so much. Throw on the ion hand stop for the recoil control, or Carver foregrip for the vertical recoil control and hip fire accuracy, sight reduction, aim down sight speed. And this is the EX1's absolute best setup. Now if you guys want to use the brand new SMG, we're going to start out with the recoil booster for the increased fire rate, slight reduction, and recoil control. Urban Rapid 11-inch for the fire rate, slight reduction, sprint to fire speed, horizontal recoil control, and recoil recovery. I'm letting you guys know right now, this thing is going to absolutely melt, but there's going to be a little bit of recoil. They're on Slate Reflector. It's completely up to you if you want to use a niter, but I think Slate Reflector is a good option. The Moravec MB for the hip fire accuracy, movement speed, and sprint to fire speed, slight reduction of aim down sight speed, and recoil control. They're on the tight grip for accuracy and recoil during sustained fire, fully loaded. Hatched grip for the recoil control and flinch resistance. Throw on the 7.62 Gorenko 38 round mags for recoil control, fire rate, movement speed, and aim down sight speed. Slight reduction of bullet velocity and bullet penetration and damage range. If you don't want to use that, you can use a 9mm 55 round drum for magazine ammo capacity, and that way you won't actually lose bullet velocity or damage range. They're on lengthen for the bullet velocity and M1941 hand stop for the recoil control. If you guys want more recoil control, and I'm letting you guys know right now, this one really isn't the move. I think the move would probably be the Urban Tac. If you don't want to use the Urban Tac, then the Valenta Kotva. Completely up to you. If you don't want to use the Urban Rapid, then I would suggest something along the lines of maybe the Moravec 18-inch needle. If you don't want to use that, then I mean, maybe the Moravec Surge 16-inch. The only reason I'm kind of hesitant about it is because you get decrease in body damage and headshot damage, plus decreased sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. So that's completely up to you. With the STG, which is Assault Rifle Alpha for Vanguard. Now the VDD 760 MM05B actually got a horizontal recoil decrease to 20%, down from 30%, and a muzzle velocity decrease to 40%, down from 45%. Now here's another thing: the 8mm Kurz 60 round drum ADS time scalar penalty decrease to -10%, up from -7%. So the STG has officially got nerfed, but is this dangerous enough to change the meta loadout? Here's what I think. We keep the MX silencer for the sound suppression, horizontal recoil control, vertical recoil control, and damage range. We do get a decrease of aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. Keep the VDD 760 MM05B. Now it still is highly accurate and controllable, still has great damage range, still has great bullet velocity, reduced scope sway and gun bob. You get a slight reduction of sprint to fire speed, aim walking movement speed, and hip fire accuracy. Now some people would probably recommend the Krosnick 620 mm precision, but the only reason I don't recommend it is because of the body damage reduction. Now if you guys don't mind the body damage reduction, then you could actually stack this with the 8mm Kurz 60 round drum. It would be fantastic. The only thing is, I don't know how this would actually pair. This is very risky, but if you feel daring, you can absolutely try this out, because they only nerfed the VDD 760 MM05B. They never nerfed the Krosnick 620 mm precision, so it may be a good option to put on there. Put on the SVT put on the SVT 40PU scope. Now you guys know there's actually a glint now when you use the SVT 40PU scope, so if you don't want that glint, all you need to do is put on the G16 and there's going to be absolutely no glint. And the only downside is you will not be able to zoom in anymore. Use the VDD 27 precision for the horizontal recoil control, aim down sight speed, slight reduction of hip fire accuracy, and movement speed. Absolutely fine. Throw on sleight of hand for reload quickness, throw on hand for aim down sight speed, throw on pine tar grip for the recoil control and hip fire accuracy, slight reduction of aim down sight speed. Put on the 8mm curved 60 round drum because you have no penalty like the Gorenko where you get a reduction of damage and bullet penetration. Throw this on and you keep a high TTK and high damage weapon. Throw on lengthen for the increased bullet velocity and Carver foregrip for the vertical recoil control. Another thing that's been nerfed significantly is the Arma Guerrera, and I did not expect all these changes, at least not all of these, but I guess it's fair and to be expected. So the things that got nerfed: the ADS movement speed scale decreased to 1.32 down from 1.36. Doesn't sound that bad, but trust me, those points are very significant. The Emerito 550mm 03P vertical recoil control decreased to 10% down from 15%. Horizontal recoil control decreased to 15% down from 20%. Emerito 180 short vertical recoil control penalty increased to 15% up from 10%. Body 570mm precision headshot damage multiplier decreased to 1.14 down from 1.2. That's not that great, to be honest. Muzzle velocity decreased to 30% down from 40%. Horizontal recoil control decreased to 25% down from 35%. 8mm curved 72 round mags, muzzle velocity decreased to 10% down from 20%. Damage range bonus removed down from 5%. 9mm 60 rounds movement speed penalty increase to -3% down from 1%. ADS time penalty increased to 8% down from 6%. Emerito TA skeletal initial recoil decreased to 10% and sustained recoil penalty increased to 10% down from 7.5%. Now if you use anything on this list, I have some good news for you. I have a much better meta that has actually basically been untouched. We're going to actually use recoil booster for the increased fire rate, slight reduction of accuracy, throw on the body 315 MMC2, which is basically the only one they haven't touched, so this is still going to be a meta Arma Guerrera. Increased damage, less damage fall off at long range, and increased bullet velocity with a slight reduction of recoil control and accuracy. Throw on the slate reflector, throw on the Emerito SA folding for sprint to fire speed and movement speed. You get a reduction of initial fire recoil, but it's no big deal. Remember, this movement got nerfed on the Arma Guerrera, so as much movement as possible is actually great. Throw on hard scope for recoil control, throw on quick for sprint speed, throw on hatch grip for the vertical and horizontal recoil control and flinch resistance, throw on the 9mm 60 round mags for the magazine out capacity. I mean, you're still going to get the nerfs that came with it. This is going to be the movement speed penalty and ADS time penalty, but it's still going to be the absolute best choice. Throw on the lengthen for the increased bullet velocity and M19 41 hand stop for the vertical recoil control, horizontal recoil control. If you guys feel daring, you can use the RPI skeletal and you can go even faster and basically fix the movement altogether. Plus you get an increase of aim down sight speed. Now the H4 Blixen got a nerf, but not in the way that you actually think. They nerfed the Bergstrom 17-inch f3 recoil control decreased to 30% down from 45%. And actually this next thing is pretty good. The 7.62 Gorenko 54 round mags headshot multiplier is removed, which is fine, but the upper torso damage multiplier increased to 1.13 up from 1. Movement speed scale decreased to 0.79 down from 1.02, completely fine. ADS time scalar penalty decreased to -4 up from -3. Now you're probably wondering, what does this mean? This means that the loadout I'm about to give you guys is absolutely perfect for this meta right now. We're going to give you guys the recoil booster for the increased fire rate, slight reduction of accuracy. Throw on the Janssen 9-inch RMK for the damage range, and bullet velocity. Now this is going to be a more recoil build, but if you control it with this setup, it's going to be absolutely perfect and it's going to be the best TTK. Throw on slate reflector. I think this is personal preference. If you want to use Niter, if you just want to use the Magnus CZA, it's completely fine and up to you. Throw on the remove stock for the increased movement, sprint to fire speed, and aim down sight speed. You're going to get more flinch resistance and recoil control and accuracy reductions, but I think it's absolutely worth it. It's still not very high of a recoil gun in general. Throw on fleet for the movement speed and weapon swap quickness. Throw on quick for sprint speed. Throw on grooved grip for the ADS fire move speed plus horizontal recoil control. Get a slight reduction in sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Throw on the 7.62 Gorenko 54 round mags for the recoil control and accuracy, aim down sight speed, and magazine ammo capacity. You get a reduction of bullet velocity and range and bullet penetration. And remember, you no longer get a headshot damage multiplier. Throw on lengthen for the bullet velocity, an SG98 compact for aim walking movement speed, and reduced scope sway and gun bob.